So in my most recent Paper Mario video, I discussed the history of Paper Mario and its games and whether it'll return to its roots. When I talk about Super Paper Mario, I tend to rabble on about how much better the game is than people say, and I still hold firm to it. I mean, why else would I make this video if I felt otherwise? And don't worry about spoilers because I'll keep them very minimal. There's even a point where I was contemplating which was better, Super Paper Mario or the original Paper Mario. Of course, the original I still find better than the third Paper Mario game. However, I was still pushed to considering which was superior for a good 2 to 3 weeks. And being third place in my list of favorite Paper Mario games still holds a clean and shiny bronze trophy to take home. The point I'm making today is why Super Paper Mario is, in my humble opinion, a real Paper Mario, or at the very least a Paper Mario that is comparable to its predecessors. I just think at times people don't give Super Paper Mario enough credit where it's due. However, those sour feelings I can't denote and call it ignorant crying like other Paper Mario fans who are extremely overprotective of any other Paper Mario game and drop everything to call you wrong and stupid because they hear something bad about their favorite game. Super Paper Mario came at an unexpected time. The Thousand Year Door came out not even 3 years after July of 2004, but the first Mario game to come out on the Wii was in fact Super Paper Mario on April 9th, 2007, and considering how successful the Wii was doing and what it would eventually become, it was gonna sell like hotcakes. It sold over 4 million copies, it's the best sold Paper Mario, and it was a hit. Or I should say at least a commercial hit. Now don't get me wrong, there are people who believe Super is a fun Paper Mario, and some even say it's the best, which I could totally understand. But this game came after the Thousand Year Door, which would set some relatively high expectations as far as keeping the same battle system and improving it, having likable characters, a good story, good writing and atmosphere, and the overall charm fans should expect from Paper Mario. Going into the game at first, you could see the Thousand Year Door's engine mostly present within the game's art style. It looks a lot like the Thousand Year Door, but there are some notable differences in it, like Mario's head and proportions, some character models, a couple landmarks, etc. It is a different art style in the end. It's something more technological and computer-based. It's inspired off of a 2D grid, but it does harken back to the Thousand Year Door in some aspects. Where it doesn't harken back is where the gameplay lies, which is where all the common criticisms arise with Super Paper Mario. Super Mario Bros. Gameplay was given a mashup with Paper Mario's RPG gameplay, giving us this hybrid of an RPG platformer. As far as complaints go, that's really where most of them in Super Paper Mario lie, including my own, but that's not really a bad thing. Now, I can't act like it's perfect. The first two games' battle systems had a much better structure and more engagement and depth, and Super's gameplay is probably the simplest of the Paper Mario series. Just like in the Super Mario Bros. Games, all you'll mostly do is jump on enemies and half the time use these little handmade fairies called pixels, which give Mario these extra abilities like placing bombs, ground pounding, hammering, and so forth. It's mainly jumping or using items mostly, and that's very cookie cutter compared to its predecessor. It kinda makes half of the fights in the game boring and bland since there's not much of a wide range of attacking and badges are all gone. There's a lack of depth and engagement in the battle system. However, that's not to say it was pointless. Unlike the Paper Mario games to follow Super, it still had experience and RPG elements. You gain points, and enough of them equals a level up, which you can use to increase HP and attack power. The items you can find can serve as offense and extra damage, can increase your defense, can double your attack, add paralysis effects to enemies. They even bring back stylish commands. There are even a few items in the overworld like Time Flowers and a Mega Superstar that can make for a cool power-up sequence and can increase the amount of experience you earn. There is an incentive to fight, and you at least gain more than you lose. Not only does the combat serve a purpose in this game, it's at least quick and a snap to go through. Like, as soon as you jump on an enemy or use a pixel or item, they're likely dead a second later. There's no battle transition, there's no lack of an incentive, and even though the combat is unfavorable overall, it at least doesn't overstay its welcome and uses up much of your time. Matter of fact, this is the shortest Paper Mario game in the series, so the gameplay at least isn't dreadfully painful. There is one thing I do find unnecessary, however, and it's the main mechanic of the game, flipping from 2D to 3D. The mechanic itself is alright, it can opt for more exploration, which the first two games had, and it makes for puzzle solving to be fairly decent, but the one thing that ruins it is that stupid bar. If you stay too long in 3D, like 15 seconds or so, you take damage, and that may seem like a lot of time, but you're going to be in the third dimension at least half of the game. That just seems super counterintuitive to me, no pun intended, and all the other games had you walking in 3D spaces before. Like, why is it suddenly now a hindrance to walk in a space Mario has done almost his whole life now? It just seems unnecessary. And similar to the Thousand Year Door, there are some backtracking issues that drag the game on more than it should. But the thing with Super is that some puzzles, they can be really stupid. For instance, this one puzzle in Chapter 5, where you have to backtrack twice to a village and ask a guy what order to hit 3 blocks, and on the second time you backtrack, you have to input 6 characters for the word please several times, and you have to memorize 25 block hits in a specific order. Or in Chapter 2, where Mario is hilariously in-depth and has to pay off alone, but the methods of doing so is tedious, and to normally get the shortcut without looking up the codes is still a chore. Yeah, Super's puzzles and gameplay has kinks to work out, and it's far from perfect, let alone a real RPG, but it at least serves an actual purpose and has some structure to keep it afloat. Now, I may get gamers and fans who haven't played Super Paper Mario, which is why I've kept spoilers to a minimum, and most may believe gameplay is the important aspect to a game. I myself believe the same, and yet I claim Super Paper Mario as a real Paper Mario, despite its gameplay is still relatively flawed, just like the games to follow afterwards. How can I process that as fair given my past Paper Mario videos? Because not only is the gameplay at least engaging to some extent and still meaningful, everything else people want from a Paper Mario game is still in Super. The characters in this game are charming and really definable. Okay, not really definable, like plenty of NPCs do lack artistic design, and they still could have done it all the same with that artistic design, but that was the whole point of Super's worlds. The director wanted to create a Mario world that's not really a Mario world in Super. You only see one Toad in this entire game, so there's your breath of fresh air for people who don't like Sticker Star and Color Splash. Some characters' designs and personalities are fun to indulge in, and while some bosses and side characters are likable, most of the defining characters lie within the antagonists of the game and Tippy, Mario's little pixel butterfly companion. Or is she? Super Paper Mario is a tale of true love and two lovers unable to be together due to their kin having a sharp dislike for each other. It's similar to Romeo and Juliet, and Mario's never really done a love story like this before at all. Sure, there's little nods and suggestions to Mario's love for Peach, and that on its own is a love tale, but they almost never do anything with it. It's always suggested and barely used because it's cute, and oh look, they're together, oh he saved her, oh they're so precious, oh so cute. Here you see what happens and how the events of Super came to be, and how every dimension is on the verge of being destroyed. Super Paper Mario is a prophetic tale, and it actually feels like an epic prophecy, especially within the partners Mario does obtain. Albeit they are people we do know, it does create a spin on this Mario game's gameplay and story we haven't seen since Mario RPG, and to a very slight degree, Paper Mario 64. It feels so surreal how these characters are hyped up to be the saviors of the universe, and how Mario and they are the heroes of legend destined to stop this crazy count from destroying all worlds. Topped off with Paper Mario's signature, subtle, timeless, natural, and in some ways highbrow writing, Super really shines within its characters, script, and story, much like the other two Paper Marios. It's also why most people can agree Super Paper Mario has one of, if not the best story out of any Mario game, let alone Paper Mario. And even its worlds, I didn't even touch upon its worlds, which are all unique and something brand new for Mario at the time, and are things only Super has done. Imagine Tippy getting kidnapped by an actual otaku chameleon in a world where it's heavily reminiscent of the original Super Mario Bros. Trilogy. Chapter 3 is one of the best chapters solely because of that chameleon, and its humor is far ahead of its time, and can be summed up in today's world of electronic social media. Or Mario having to travel to a mansion to save a fortune teller, but this fate keeps hindering his efforts and puts him in a large 1 million rupee debt. I really want to keep going with the locales and areas in this game, but those are another highlight in the game overall, and again, spoilers. Chapters 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8 especially, in my opinion, all hold plenty of cool set pieces and events that unfold that completely shift and set the tone in the story multiple times so damn well. Just like Sonic Unleashed, Super Paper Mario was a game that was far ahead of its time. Its writing and atmosphere set the stage so well, it's almost unbelievable how well the game holds up today, and is super relatable over a decade later. It's a game that is held back with imperfect gameplay, but can still encourage the player and still holds merit, while still providing an entertaining story, likable characters, funny and natural flowing writing, and an epic feel to the Paper Mario lore. Super Paper Mario is a Paper Mario based on the fact it has everything you'd expect from the series, just minus half of the gameplay. Imagine a kid biking down the street. He hits a curb and scrapes a large chunk of his knee. He is hurt, hell he might have even broken his leg, but his spirit and soul are still kicking and willing to fight. On the surface he may feel crippled, but he could still move and function. On the inside, he's still himself and strong to his core. That's how I see Super Paper Mario, a Paper Mario that feels like Paper Mario to its core, even if it doesn't entirely play like one. Try and boot up Super Paper Mario again, you might see what I mean. And really quickly, I want to thank you guys for the immense support I've been getting this past month. My Paper Mario videos have actually been reaching out far and wide like I hoped, and I'd like to shout out Arlo for sharing the facts and referencing my content in his most recent Paper Mario video. It feels like my time on YouTube is actually paying off in spades, and it feels rewarding and surreal. I can't thank you guys enough for supporting me in any manner, small or big, these past 2.5 years. It's been a huge help, and thank you for watching. Oh my god. I'll see you all in the future, and hopefully some people will see the light Super Paper Mario provides. Stay super.